I'm pretty sure that a lot of you remember watching Looney Tunes as a kid. So do I. And my favorite character was Sylvester the cat. Until one night back in the summer of 1998, I saw an episode that rather frightened me. But since the cartoon played late at night, when I should have already gotten to bed, I was half asleep. So I only remembered parts of it, like a creepy TV in Sylvester's room that turned on all by itself. I thought maybe it was just a nightmare. Sadly, it wasn't. The following summer, me and my brother were bored one afternoon, so we decided to watch some TV. We flicked to Cartoon Network just in time when Looney Tunes was starting. It played 2 normal episodes featuring Sylvester, nothing special, except for one thing. When the second part was coming to its end, me and my brother felt like something wasn't right. We thought that it might show that certain episode once again. Then it happened. The episode didn't have the usual opening which many of the Looney Tunes segments had. Neither the catchy title music. It just skipped right to the title screen. No fade or anything, it just switched right there. There was no title written on the screen. Instead, it showed the living room of a house. The layouts were drawn entirely with only 2 colors, blood red and black as emptiness. There wasn't any music here either. The only sound that could be heard during this part was a woman saying, "Directed by." The creepy thing about it was that the audio used our country's native language, Hungarian. And this happened way before CN started broadcasting cartoons recorded in Hungary. Also, it sounded like the announcer was slowly being strangled. Once more, the cartoon never faded to the beginning. It simply switched right there. It showed Sylvester standing in front of something that looked like a military base from the Second World War. There wasn't any music or sound here either, just dead silence. Sylvester also didn't look like how he did in the other cartoons. He looked bruised and badly beaten. His eyes had no pupils. Sylvester didn't say anything, he just looked really angry. In the next scene, he entered the military base. It was empty, no guards or soldiers were present, but Sylvester still entered. He wanted to get revenge on whoever was inside for what they presumably did to him. So he decided to sabotage this facility by destroying all the lights hanging from the ceiling. This scene looked very disturbing. While Sylvester was tearing down each light fixture, his claws grew to a ridiculous size. With every swipe, blood and oil trickled down his hands. The only audio that could be heard during this scene was the sound of sparking electricity, which sounded very loud and frighteningly realistic. The scene was also flashing rapidly, making it appear even more unnerving and dangerous to anyone who suffers from epilepsy. The entire sequence repeated itself 10 times before it cut to the next scene. In the next scene, Sylvester was now at home, but Granny, Tweety, and Hector were nowhere to be found. He was all alone. His room appeared empty and surreal. The floor was blood red and the walls looked like they were on fire. The room contained 2 tables, a large one that had a toy Dalek and a screwdriver on it, along with a smaller one which included an ancient TV set facing directly at the viewer. There was also a window in the background, but the beams were misaligned, so it resembled an inverted crucifix. Outside it was just pitch black. Not as if it was night outside, but like if there literally was no existence beyond that window. Sylvester proceeded to repair his toy Dalek with the screwdriver. when suddenly the TV on the smaller table behind him turned on by itself. The camera slowly zoomed in on the TV, which displayed a glitchy input screen. The audio now consisted of distorted static and white noise. Then a few seconds later, an image flickered on the television screen. The TV showed an extremely unsettling cartoon. The background music sounded like someone repeatedly banging the keys on an organ. Also, the score was in reverse and played back at a slower pitch. It started by showing a forest with a cartoony moon above it, who had a creepy look on its face. A few seconds later, it switched to a narrow room, and the room itself appeared empty. But something could be heard lurking at one end of the room. Whatever it was made a metallic, thumping sound with each step. 5 seconds later, it switched to the other end of the room. Porky Pig was standing there, also looking angry, and he was holding a pistol in his hand. However, he didn't appear bruised like Sylvester did. He said something inaudible to the monster at the other end of the room, then fired his gun a few times. After that, it cut to static, and a loud bang was heard. The screen faded to black. A few seconds later, the screen faded back to Sylvester in his room, standing next to the wreckage of his destroyed TV. He looked even more angry, even more bruised, and his eyes were a dark red this time. The disturbing image of angry Sylvester stayed on screen for about 10 seconds. Then it just went to black. About half a minute later, Cartoon Network came back on, with a normal coming up next bumper. And that was Angry Sylvester, once again written by an unknown author. Review time. I'm disappointed. That was nothing but cliches. Like, it followed every single trope in the book that I could think of when it comes to a lost episode post. Okay, I want to say this real quick. With Little Bear in the Big Red Book, the previous review I did, I didn't like that story, but at the very least I could see why people like it. I could sort of understand. I didn't get what the story was going for, but I could see why people thought it was good. This story, though, it was not that great. It followed so many tropes that it just kind of forms a big fat birthday list out into my hallway. First of all, the random decision to make Hungarian the scary language for the intro, that's just put in there for no reason. Like in the Little Bear story with the running water, there's no symbolism behind that. She's just Hungarian for some reason. And then Sylvester kills a bunch of people. And there's zero buildup. It just cuts to him going to a military base and killing people. I don't know why. And he had no pupils and he looked badly beaten. No pupils. That's another trope. Believe it or not. It's around the same effect as the Max and Ruby 0004 bullshit, where the characters had nothing but black holes for eyes. Okay. Then there's blood and gore and Then there's the sound of sparking electricity, which sounded realistic. Frighteningly realistic. Not hyper realistic, frighteningly realistic. Ugh. Then he goes home and he's all alone. The place looks surreal for, well, some reason. I'm guessing that's meant to signify him going insane, but all of this insanity is never explained, ever. Ugh. Then, when he fixes the Dalek, the TV turns on, and then it plays a quote unquote extremely unsettling cartoon that is never ever explained what it was. It's just, oh, it's a cartoon. Cut to the next part. And then Porky Pig is shooting at something. And then Sylvester stares at the screen, Sonic.exe style. And then the episode ends. I think it's obvious you know what rating I'm going to give this. 1. 1 out of 10. It was nothing but cliches. At least Little Bear had something going for it. This was crap. I'm sorry. If the author is reading this, like I said before many times, please know that this isn't my way of... I'm not trying to demonize you as a person. I just don't like your story. And considering that this was, once again, a semi-classic creepypasta, I'm sure you can do better now, if you look back on it. Now, as I've said before, this is simply my personal opinion. We all have our opinions toward these stories, etc., etc. What did you think of the story? What would you do if you were to improve upon it? And that's it for now. As always, I will see you in the next narration. Take care, guys. Bless.